Well, guys, I literally had to wipe dust off the recorder. It's been a minute since we've done this, so hopefully I remember how to do it. Definitely missed doing these, but yeah, we're kind of back. And I obviously got Sean with me for the first one back. Sean, first of all, can you give us a long story of why your biceps have gotten so much bigger lately? And that is mainly because you're training upper body.
Hey, we didn't discuss this prior to the podcast. You didn't say we were going to talk about this.
Wait, is it a secret that you're injured?
Currently injured. Lasted almost all the lockdown without getting injured, which is nice. But I have been doing a lot more training in lockdown. I sort of said at the start of lockdown, I was like, this can go one or two ways. I get like so much job fulfillment of coming in here and seeing people and stuff like that. And then when all that was gone, I was like, I need to get endorphins and like dopamine and I need that somewhere. So I just started training as much as I can and stayed off the drink and like went really hard on my food. I was like, this is it. I'm gonna become the happiest version of myself. So when the gym opens on Monday, no more training. I get all my happy endorphins from just seeing everyone, and then I don't have to train anymore. So training camp is done. I'm out.
Wow. Opposite to everyone else.
Yeah. I've gone the total opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Thanks for noticing, though.
But you can't train lower body anyway for a little while.
Well, not now. I went on a couple of days ago with James Weinstock.
Someone smashed you in the running
Mate,
on the
track.
track.
Shout out to James. He whinges about like running longer than 100 meters. I know why now. Like he's.
Well, I was super surprised when you told me. Yeah, I went to the tracks with James. Yeah. I was like, what? Which James?
Can't be Weinstock. We did our first warm up lap, like the full lap for 400 meters. Quite a long way for James. And we get to the end, and he's puffing pretty hard. He's like, would you run that fast for a 10K? And I looked at it, I was like, I would run a lot faster than that for 10K. He's like, oh God.
But he's a pretty powerful athlete, though.
He does not lack power.
Yeah.
He's one powerful dude. And we're doing 10 by 50 meter sprints. So 10 50-meter sprints on the 2 minutes. And on the first 50-meter sprint, we both came out of the blocks, and I tore my hamstring.
On the first one.
It was the very first one. We were there for like half an hour warming up. We had done sprints. It was the first of our working sets, you know?
Yeah.
So like I had sprinted up and down, but we're in spikes on the track. So like it's very different.
Wait, you both have spikes now?
Yeah, we both got spikes. Yeah. Well,
surprised you got all the right equipment for an activity you do for one session.
We thought we were going to get scouted when we were down there. We had coaches looking over. I thought this could be the new career.
Oh, that's mad.
But unfortunately, on the first interval, I tore my hamstring. So
did James just say, "Oh, that's it for me as well"? Pull the pin of the training session.
So I'm glad you asked that. We were meant to do 10 by 50. I did 0 because I blew my hamstring 20 meters into the first 50-meter sprint. And James, when I blew my hamstring, he stopped on that one to check if I was okay. And he had to help me get my shoe and sock off and stuff. And then I think he did 4 more and stopped.
Well, hey, that's still pretty impressive, though. That's actually pretty good.
So I think
I would have just stopped if my training partner stopped.
Yeah,
it's a bit boring by yourself.
I don't want to shortchange him. He might have done 5 or maybe
good.
5, maybe 5.
Yeah,
so,
wow.
So I did what 2% of the session, and he did 50% of the session. So it's a win for him. And then I get a message off him the next day. He's like, dude, how's the hammy? He's like, I'm so sore. He's like, I'm the sorest I've ever been from my ribs down. And I'm like, from your ribs? What is going on?
Well, James, you can now and for always say that you beat Sean in a running workout.
Yep.
And that's pretty
I can't argue that. He has that one. One.
How's the recovery going?
So I've got a different approach. Like I was listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff on soft tissue injuries. And I went away from like the rest ice compression elevation, and a lot of stuff that's come out in the last sort of 5 years has gone almost like the total opposite end. So now I'm doing like as much loading as possible, pain-free. So I'm walking around. I've been doing 10-minute AMRAPs going up and down stairs. I've been cling wrapping my hamstring with deep heat on it, and I've been going in the sauna. So, and like I'm for day 4 or day 5, and like it doesn't reduce any pain doing the heat variation. So I think like the rest ice compression, it gets rid of all the pain elements, but I don't think it's very good for healing. not a physio, by the way, just personal. But then with the heat stuff, like it hasn't reduced any pain whatsoever. But like my movement and range, just testing it, is like significantly better. And
interesting, hey?
It's super interesting. I'm like, by no means am I glad that I did this, but it has given me a chance to try this out because I've heard about it a lot, not using the RISA, rest ice compression elevation, as much anymore. And more people are going towards like use it, load it, as long as it's pain free. Like you're not trying to push through pain.
Yeah, and when you say loaded, it's not like you're going in the gym and deadlifting 100 kilos. It's like minimal to no actual load added, but it's like what you can do, right?
Correct. So at the moment, I'm doing a standing hinge, like literally no weight, just doing a standing hinge. But my range.
Good morning with nothing.
Yep. But my range is incredible. So, and I feel like with a hamstring, it's the first time I've ever hurt my hamstring, and I feel like the amount of pain that it was initially, straight away, if that was my ankle, like which I'm familiar with when I've hurt my ankle before, I would have gone like 6 to 8 weeks. Like because the pain, it's such a big muscle and it gets so much blood flow there. The pain, I was like, I'm out. Oh, this is a couple months.
Yeah.
And then within 48 hours, I was like, this might only be a 2 to 3 week thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is why if you ever do your hamstring, you're probably going to do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times unless you go through the full rehab, because it doesn't give you enough feedback to stop you going back too early. So like with my ankle, I can't come back for 6 weeks. I have no option. With my hamstring, I feel like in another week I could like go for a jog.
Yeah,
wouldn't be the right thing to do. But if I wasn't in touch enough with like how it feels, I would just go for a run and I'd probably do it again in 6 weeks or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So it doesn't give you enough tactile feedback to say like you have to stop.
Yeah.
You just sort of.
Well, I guess that's how it goes in the beginning as well, because it's so common to hear people do the hamstrings in a running scenario. Even if they're, like you said, even if they're warm up, blah, blah, blah. Like, how often does that happen? And especially with people that have played footy before at a younger age or done any kind of sprint type of running stuff. It's just like they go on a track, do everything right, and then it still blows.
Yeah. I spoke to Starry the day after I did it, and he was like, yeah, I don't program any of that like top end stuff anymore. You know, your 50s, 80s, 100s. He's like, it's just too much unless you've like had enough adaptation period to it. And like I had been doing lots of running. I've been running.
Yeah.
And but like not top end. You know, like my runs are at
not
least
60-yard dashes and stuff like that.
Exactly. So my top end stuff, you know, your hamstrings just don't get loaded like that. And it all makes sense in hindsight, you know, like spikes on a track, you know, like stamping down 80-meter sprint, you know, like it just
competing with a friend.
Yeah, you know, like it just screams like torn hamstring. But at the time, you know,
it's fun, right? That's
so fun, so fun.
I think the only thing I've thought about with this, because I like that sprint stimulus as well, but it's like I hate being injured. That's like my number one. I'd rather train at 60% and not get injured, right? But the one thing I've thought of before when back when I used to be a trainer is like the one thing where it seems to be a little bit safer is if you just have an incline. So you sprint, but you're not really sprinting anymore then because it's so steep and you go uphill.
Yeah.
Being on this, or even on a sand dune makes it even worse because it's like it slows everything down.
Yep.
And your risk of ripping your hamstring off is a little bit less.
It's the best way to do it as well because you have less force going through your body as well because your foot's landing higher than what it took off. So it's way less loading on your body. So,
but it's also way less fun and
way harder.
Mentally way harder.
Yeah.
You're feeling slow and sluggish.
I don't know if I said to James, let's go 10 by 50 meter sand dune sprint on the 2 minute, you know, like it probably would have taken us 2 minutes to get up there. So
he might not show up to that training session either.
So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Definitely the safest way if you want to do sprints is on hills, and that's
Well, luckily we're very soon back inside the gym, and we're not going to do any sprinting in here, I think, at least.
Yeah, which I suppose this all relates to like coming back inside here as well with how next week's going to look with the programming and stuff like that as well. So something that I'm going to be, and we had a staff meeting with all the coaches, and something we're going to be very, very, very conscious of is like putting the leash on everyone and sort of holding them back this. So spoke to Star about the programming. We're going to have like a transition week this week. So starting on Monday the 11th. We're going to just have a transition week from outside to inside. So we're going to run CrossFit and FSC as the same program.
Okay.
and we're just going to introduce people back to being inside, because I think when we get the atmosphere, the music, like I think regardless of how much training you have or haven't done, it's probably a good thing just to have a week of like getting back to hinging in here and, like getting a feel for the program. Because I think if once we turn that music up and the atmosphere and you're around everyone,
oh, mate,
I feel like it'd be very easy to go a little bit too hard, a little bit of a 10 by 50.
100%. And this lockdown has probably been it has definitely been the least amount I've trained in like such a long amount of time. So I'm super cautious when I get back in for sure.
And I think you'll be among good company,
But the hard thing is, I guess some people have trained pretty well, I think, through lockdown, right?
Definitely. There's 20, 30 people that I know for a fact that has done maybe more than what they used to. But also the difference being that it's the 30-minute session, the longest conditioning piece, was maybe 15, 20 minutes. The loading that they've put through their body, it's just not the same as what you're capable of doing in a 1-hour class.
Yeah.
Amongst a crowd with music, 100%. All of that stimulus can really add to it. So we're going to be very, very conscious of our programming blocks coming back, which we'll put it out on our members page. We've got a transition week this week, Monday the 11th, and then we've got 3 4-week blocks. And the 3 4-week blocks are purely just building back some joint integrity, some stability. Unfortunately, you're not going to be coming straight back into all the stuff that you might really, really want to, like high rep toe to bar and chest to bar pull-ups and snatches. We're going to start from the high hang and we're going to work our way down to the grounds. Like we're going to be, because
we did that last time too.
We did that last time, and I think people didn't realize just how much that can help you. So like if you come out of the blocks too hot after maybe 3 months of not having as much training, in 6 weeks' time, you're not going to be as good.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have these first 4 weeks of having a transition week, having it nice and easy, by week 6, you're going to be miles ahead of what you would be if you come out of the gates hot. So
absolutely. I think I had like a practical example of that myself, because like I said, I've been training very little through this lockdown, and for me saying little, that's like 1 to 2, maybe 3 times a week, and I'm lucky I've had access to a full gym. And I've been surfing so much, so I had a stint. The waves have been crazy good, so I was just surfing all the time, and then I think I had 6 days without any gym training, and then I went back in the gym, and the worst person to coach and tell is yourself. So I went in with the attitude that everyone has in a situation like that, and kind of just went, okay, I'm just going to try and program it on the spot, like did something. And then I'm like, okay, the next thing I'm going to do is this. And as I do that, I'm like, the next thing. So I had no plan really going in, just thinking I'm all over it. And then next day, my knees were so sore, and my knees are never sore. Like I've been so lucky and so good with my knees throughout training. And I was thinking of all the stuff I did the day before. I did overhead squats from the floor, front squats from the floor, back squats from the rack, and wobbles. Not just that, it was like within other stuff, but I was like, shit, I squatted like so much and I hadn't done anything before. And even though the loading wasn't heavy, there was still loading in all of that. So I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Well, this is the thing. And I suppose what we're trying to get across here is people are going to come back and they're going to try and make up for lost time.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
It's such a bad idea. It just doesn't work, Yeah. And it's so easy to say that, but it's like being conscious of it in training and realizing just how quickly, like they say, fitness and money, it's hard to get and easy to lose. Even if you've been training at maybe 60% of what your normal training would have been, you lose so much. Thankfully, it comes back quicker the second, third, fourth, fifth time that it happens. So
100%.
It won't take long to get back, but I'm begging people, and the coaches will be very onto it. We're gonna be holding people back. We're gonna be nurturing everyone back into a fit and healthy state in maybe 4 or 5 weeks.
I think it's a pretty clear attitude that you've always had here at the gym, and it's hard as well, right? Because people come back now with so much excitement. So you don't want to be negative Nelly either, but I guess this is a good forum to just listen to and just say, hey, there is a reason for it. And, a lot of people in here have trained for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, more than that, you haven't lost all your fitness in, like, even if, let's say, we've been in lockdown for 6 months or whatever, it's not all gone. Like,
No.
it's coming back pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah. So don't panic, even though it's spring and summer's coming up.
Yeah. I know that is what I say. Summer's coming, but we got to be
We can go back to doing those little ab circuits at the end of class.
Yeah,
They're fine.
We'll find plenty of things, I think, to keep people stimulated enough where they go, all right.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think coming in and trying to make up for lost time and maybe not realizing just how different you are right now to beforehand, I think will be that's sort of our biggest tip and our biggest focus for us as coaches is what we're going to be putting back to the classes.
So maybe now is a good point just to go through some just some of the basics of what's happening when we're coming back. I think we'll put this one out maybe Monday, the first day when we're back.
Yep.
So obviously some of the bookings and stuff has started to happen. But are there a couple of things you want to go through?
Yeah, I suppose like we've with everyone not necessarily back in office and stuff, we wanted to bring the gym back to exactly what everyone remembered. So we had a lot of questions about the timetable because people are training at such different times now, and they were just like curious of like, hey, I'm really enjoying this 11:15 class. Can we have an 11:15 class? And they're out the back training in groups of 2, and so. What we've decided to do is we're going back to what we knew and what we knew worked. So we're going back to the normal timetable for now, which doesn't mean that we won't make changes if COVID restrictions and people aren't going into the office and stuff like that. We might alter the program, the timetable a little bit to suit some people that are living around here and not commuting anymore. Mm-hmm. But initially, timetable's just back to what it was: 5:30, 6:30, 9:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 p.m. We've got the 12:30 classes on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Mm-hmm. Saturday mornings we'll keep the same, and we'll just see how these first couple of weeks of bookings go. So the coaches are all coming back. Everyone's vaccinated and good to go. They did just announce that we have to wear masks inside while training.
Rough.
So it's really rough. And that is definitely going to affect our programming as well. So I'm expecting them to backflip on that because they did last time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We just wore them in the warm up or something last time, I think.
Yeah. So the way that it was worded last time was you had to wear a mask inside, but as soon as you started doing strenuous activity, you were able to take it off. So as soon as you started your warm up, you're able to take it off. Now what they've come out with is that regardless if you're doing strenuous activity and you're indoors, you have to wear a mask the entire time.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to change our programming as well, and I assume they're going to backflip on that pretty quickly. It doesn't really make sense. So
hopefully this might even change by the time we post this.
Exactly. So we're not going to put that out just yet, but that if it is the case, the programming will be very different. I don't think there's anything else that we're coming back to that's going to be out of the norm. It's 20 people, it's 4 square meters. We don't need to mark the floors anymore, so we're not going to be coming back into the white squares. Obviously, fully vaccinated inside. Anyone that has had single dose or yet to get their second dose, the yard is open as well, so people can continue to train until they get their second dose or until December 1st when vaccinated and unvaccinated can come inside and train. So,
Perfect, yeah. Sauna's back open?
Sauna's back open. Yep. Booking sheet for that is on.
Sean's booked in 3 times a week now, though, just because of the hamstring.
Yeah.
But
availability's down, but it is open. The 24-hour, that was something that we wanted to let everyone know because going back to the 11:15 class, we do have the 24-hour access as well. So we cancelled all the 24-hour memberships at the start of lockdown. So anyone that does want to have 24-hour access, either wants it activated or you're going to have to reactivate it. We're not assuming you want it back. So if anyone had it, it's gone. You need to let us know that you want it put back on.
Yep.
So if you are really enjoying that 11:15 time slot, you still could do it, but you just have to let us know that you want the 24-hour access as well.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm definitely looking forward to come back in and train and see everyone and train in the environment again. I think I said this last lockdown. A lockdown confirms for me that I like training in the class scenario. I think some people go through a lockdown and they realize they like to train by themselves, but for me, it's definitely better to go into the class environment. I'm not fully vaxxed yet for the first week, so I'll have a few weeks until I come back in. But yeah, I can't wait to see everyone and train with everyone. But hopefully, I will say, I'm not a staff member here, so maybe I can say it, but hopefully not too much vax talk in the gym. I mean, I'm looking forward to see Nick and listen to the rep schemes on thruster workouts and stuff like that way more than I look forward to hear about what people think about vaccination. So that says a lot.
Yeah, look, and we spoke about that in our staff meeting as well, and I think everyone's had enough of talking about it. And we've always tried to make this place somewhere that you escape. Maybe work or even family life or whatever it may be.
Arguments.
So look, we won't be buying into it. We've sort of made the conscious decision as coaches that we're not going to be, one, we're not going to be bringing it up, and two, we're not going to be talking about it. And I think everyone will appreciate that. I don't know anyone that's excited to talk about it more. So look, this is going to be a place where you can come in and not have to worry about talking about it and sharing opinions and listening to other people's opinions on it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we created a safe zone for that. You can escape your kids, your wife, your husband, your job, and COVID talk, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your training plans now, though, coming into the before Christmas? Are you? I know you said you're going to stop training, but I'm assuming that it's a bit of a joke.
Yeah, that is a bit of a joke. It's obviously a little bit different now with my hamstring. I could not wait to get back into a class. I was like, the whole time I was training, I was like, yes. I was looking forward to getting back into it. But I think for me now, like understanding how this hamstring feels, I'm going to be doing a bit of rehab now. But we've got the Open in 18 weeks, 17 weeks as well. And that was something that I really wanted to train for.
That is a bit of an issue.
Yeah. It is. It's never come around quicker, and especially with all this time off. So we had such a fun Open last time, like with the dress up. And I think a lot of people realized how fun the Open can be and that it's not like this super stressful, competitive scene.
Yeah.
So I'll be sort of gearing my...
Is it another battle with Jesse?
Well, we've never settled the bet. We've never settled the bet. We argue about it quite a lot. Decision. Yeah, it's still a split decision. So look, maybe the next competition is the Open again. I'm hesitant to say that because Jesse...
he's been training pretty hard.
That was his first Open and he did very well. So I don't really want to do that again, but potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially. I just remembered as well, we've actually introduced, for anyone that hasn't been training with us, SugarWOD, which is the new platform that we use to share our programming. So with Zen Planner, obviously, you still need Zen Planner to check into classes. When you log into Zen Planner, there's a little thing that says see the workout on SugarWOD. It's a separate app, which is a little bit of a nightmare. It's not the perfect setup, but they are integrated. So you've only got one password and one email that works through both of them. But in there, it is significantly better than what we've ever had with tracking workouts and your weights and stuff like that. You can make it public, so there is leaderboards and stuff, so you can see what other people are doing. You can make it private as well, which means that it's just tracking all your own training.
Okay.
It's got percentage calculators in there as well, so anytime that you do a power clean in any workout, it comes up with these like preparation notes for the next workout, and it'll say you did power cleans at 155 pounds for 5 sets of 3 or whatever. So it's an incredible tool for your training. I know that a lot of people that have been training in the yard and the hut have been using it because like now we're getting maybe 30, 40 results in a day posted, and that's just the public ones. So I would say anyone that's coming back from day one, like jump on it and start recording it because it makes it so much easier on you, especially with the next 3-4 week blocks that we're doing. We are starting at like a 6 RPE, like rated perceived effort. So we're going to be starting nice and light. If you start tracking your stuff by week 12, you'll have you'll have something that you can compare back to as well. So highly recommend from day one, get onto SugarWOD and start lodging your scores on there as well.
Yeah,
public or private, I don't mind. I'm not going to encourage people to put them up publicly if they don't want other people to see them. But it is fun as well doing the public ones.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And when you guys announced it, I was like, I'm always against 2 apps. That's for me, that's kind of like a big drawback, but it's so worth it. Like Zen Planner is just to book in, and that's pretty much all I use it for. And then SugarWOD, I've also been using the free ROMWOD there, which I think is great. It's like it's a pretty good. I used to have ROMWOD years ago, and then I just stopped because it's pretty mentally challenging. It's kind of boring to do it, but you feel great after it. And now that it's free, and you get a new program every day. It's been one of the new habits that I've tried to put in.
And we introduced that through the lockdown as well, because we knew people weren't doing good enough warm-ups, or like time constraints on the warm-ups, were really tough.
In the yard, it's hard to fit anything in.
It's hard to get anything in. If you chat for 1 minute too long, the whole class is blown over. So that's why we introduced that, so people would do that at home. And with such good feedback, we're going to keep that. So that'll keep going.
Awesome.
That'll still be programmed. We're still programming the running as well. So the tracks of programming that we're going to have at the moment, you got your functional strength and conditioning, you got your CrossFit program, you got ROMWOD, you got an at-home program still, and then you've got a running program.
Yeah.
So there'll be 5 program tracks on SugarWOD.
SugarWOD's got all of it. Maybe explain what ROMWOD is for people some people might not have heard about it in the gym. And it's like now free for us. Usually it's a paid service.
Yeah, so we signed up as an affiliate, so we pay the subscription for it, which allows all of our members to use it. And range of motion workout of the day, ROMWOD, that's what it stands for. But essentially it's like it's a stretch session. Some of them, they can target lower body, upper body, but they also do some flow sessions as well, which is a little bit more movement. So it's not just like long poses.
Static hold poses.
Yeah.
So hard.
They are so hard. There's this one story, I don't know how long we're going on this podcast. Nat Massa once, she was in there and she went into like a pigeon pose and she was concentrating on her breathing, and it was like a 3 to 4 minute hold. And she's there for a computer froze. She said she was there for like 11 minutes. She's like waiting for the voice to say, and come out of the pose. And she said she looked up and it was just her whole computer had froze. She's like, oh
my God, that is long.
I never forgot that.
Lucky it was a pigeon pose, not like...
not like a frog pose or anything like that. But yeah, so... We've introduced that so you can use it at home, and obviously now we'll be running the warm-ups and the cool-downs and everything at the gym, but it's still amazing to use, and it's in SugarWOD, so it's another reason to get that app as well.
I love that it's just a different video every day, and it's kind of like, when you go to a class, it's like all you really need to do is get to the class, then you've done the hard work, because then you just get told what to do and you do the workout and then you feel better after. ROMWOD's kind of the same. You just got to take the time to actually do it and hit play, which is harder than you think sometimes, because you're like, 20 minutes of this, I don't really want to do it. But then as soon as you've done that, and you feel way better after, I particularly think they do really well for people with tight hips and lower back.
Agreed.
A lot of that, that stuff is really good. It's just static holds for 3-4 minutes. Like you said, a bit of box breathing they incorporate sometimes. And it's awesome. Did you put in any... Talking about habits again, kind of jump back to that. Did you have any kind of big habit changes over the lockdown, or are you planning any now that we go back out of the lockdown?
I'm probably the opposite, like we said at the start, to most. Like I introduced a lot of habits that I didn't have prior to lockdown in lockdown, and that was purely to combat like anxiety and stress and stuff like that of just being so uncertain about our I suppose our business, our financial position, stuff like that. So I think I've probably the healthiest I've ever been. Like I've concentrated so much on just making sure I train. But one of the things I definitely did, which I haven't done before, is I've seen more sunrises, in the last 3 months than I probably have in my entire life combined.
Because usually you'll either work or you'll probably sleep, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like I've got up at 4:30 a.m. since I left school, because we've been in the fitness industry the whole time. So you get up at 4:30, but I've never seen a sunrise consistently, because you're either in a warehouse coaching, and the days that you don't have to get up, you're trying to get that extra sleep.
Yeah.
So I sort of made the conscious effort of going, all right, well, I'm going to keep my time schedule, still go to bed early, get up early. But then Sammy Polnow was posting, he did 100 days of hot shower, cold shower, 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 3 rounds. So he did hot cold therapy. As soon as he gets up in the morning, he would go 1 minute hot, 1 minute cold for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And then he would get in his car, drive to Avalon Headland, get a coffee, and take a photo of the sunrise.
Yeah.
And he did that every day for 100 days.
I didn't know the shower part. Yeah, that's awesome.
I think as well, he maybe journaled or meditated in there as well in between. I hope he's all right with sharing this. And so I was watching his days tick up, and I was like, that's like so good. Awesome. Yeah, so I started going up there and meeting him for coffee, and then like started talking about it. So then more people started going up to the headland, and then I've like reconnected with some friends in Avalon that I haven't spoke to in like 15 years. Like these two girls that I grew up with.
Yeah.
I speak to them every day now. It was like, so that was a habit that I introduced that I was stoked with. You know? Like I'm really glad I did that.
Yeah. It's amazing when you, sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, unfortunately from Monday, I'll probably, I'll be missing my sunrises. Yeah, I'll be missing them.
It's I think a crazy side effect that you don't realize until a little while when you keep seeing the sunrise every day is, and it probably sounds a bit weird, but like you kind of become way more in tune with nature because you sense the differences in the weather and all that stuff way more because you see like if you go to the same spot every sunrise, you see, oh, today it's like glassy and flat. Next day it's like windy and choppy, and next day it's like huge waves. How like in tune you get with that after you do it consistently for a while, it's crazy, eh?
It is crazy. Yeah. It's made a huge difference. It's actually something I'm genuinely going to miss. You know, I think on my days off now, I will make the effort to go up and do it because I'm always up anyway. It's just that I never made the effort to go and like watch the sunrise. There's definitely some merit to it. You know? It changes your whole day for sure.
Absolutely. All right. What now that we go back into the lockdown, though, maybe a bit of a tricky question, but is this something that you're going to try and do to set yourself up for kind of success in the change of lifestyle again? Because for you, it's quite a drastic change from coaching early mornings, late evenings, and then having that lifestyle into what you had now, which was very like set up the gym, leave it all day, pack it down at the end. Now that we go back into this normal routine again, is there something that you've planned out to like try and make sure that goes well?
Food prep. I think,
back to that.
Yeah. So we've sort of consciously done that this week. It was our first week just getting ready for next week. It's like we've had so much time to just
go home and cook.
Home and cook every meal, and like eat at certain times and stuff like that. So Tash is doing a ketogenic diet at the moment just to try it out. So we went back to food prepping, and that's something that I think is going to be a huge difference, like for us going back to work, and maybe for people going back into the offices. And
I've got to start cooking lunch again.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you can do that's going to help massively. Is like start now, because I know as of next week, life's going to look very, very different. So it's, definitely food prep is something because we've had all the time in the world to cook our meals.
It's so easy when you just can run home, cook breakfast.
It's insane. Like I haven't looked for that like cheap, easy meal in 3 months, like there's just no need. It's like I'm not on the run or I'm not staying up so late, like coaching to 7:30 or 8 o'clock and then like haven't food prep for dinner or something like that. It's like we didn't have that, but I know that's coming back, and like we've been very, very good with our food. So that's a tip to everyone is like start food prepping.
It's been interesting to listen to stories of how people have gone with their food through lockdown, because I feel actually a lot of my friends have done really well, because one, they don't eat out at all basically, so they end up cooking so much more home cooked meals. But then the snacking with some people goes a little bit out of hand, and I think it did a bit with me as well. Just like you go to the shops and then you just know you're going to have to buy a little bit of extra snacks because you stay home all week, and then you just keep eating that and eating that. So
I think having the like entry, like the barrier of entry for getting like cheap takeaway food, like you have to have your mask. That stopped me a bunch of times, just stopping into like a sushi train and grabbing something. Oh, I don't have my mask. Or even just the thought of having to put my mask on to walk inside to check in on the QR code. That sort of eliminated a lot of the fast food like options for me as well. Because I was just like, I couldn't be bothered doing that. It's easier to go home and do it.
Yeah.
So I think maybe when everything opens up again, I think I might be tempted a little bit more by just going in and getting those easier foods. But
Charlie's is back on again.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think food would be something that we got to be very conscious of. That's going to be a big difference for us.
Yeah.
And I think I'll tell everyone now as well, because they're probably going to see it. But I also lost my driver's license. So
that's right. Well, you still have a couple more days.
2nd of November. So I've got 3 weeks left. They give you plenty of time to prep your life. But if you do see me walking around Mona Vale, please pull over, offer me a lift. I will take it. I will take it. I'm not too proud to be driven home or picked up in the mornings. If you want some company, I'm there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so if you see me riding around on a push bike or walking around a little bit more, that's going to be why.
Should just start wearing a shirt with what could I say? License less on the back or something. Just like no driver's license. Well, at least you live local, you work local. It's all
Yeah, it really hasn't hit home just yet, like how different life's going to be without a driver's license, like just having that freedom. But hey, stay tuned. I might love it. I might never have a car again.
Might go push bike. You got the skateboard?
Yeah, I got the electric skateboard, which I'm not going to get on because I think that's like just that is the fastest path or broken bone I can
100%.
picture. Yeah, so I'm not going anywhere near that thing. Not going anywhere near that thing.
Are you going to get an electric bike maybe?
Yeah, I am. I'm definitely going to get an electric bike. I live 1.9 kilometers away from the gym.
Fuck, so close.
So I don't necessarily need an electric bike, but I think at 4:30 in the morning when it's raining and I have to like ride my bike to work, I think I will appreciate getting here quicker.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to get an electric bike. Yeah.
That's still also a bit of a mission with the rain.
Oh,
Luckily, we're going in summer.
Yeah, it is 6 months I lose my license for though. So like
You'll be into next winter, basically.
May. I get it back in May. It's a long time.
Rainy
I don't
autumn.
want to talk about it.
You brought it up.
Oh no. I just wanted everyone to know that's why I'm walking and pick me up.
And now he's limping as well because he's got his freaking hamstring. Oh wow. Who's maybe we should highlight some people. I mean, hard to know. Definitely hard to know for me. But maybe you know a little bit better. Who's done well over the lockdown training out at the yard and the hut?
Look, if you have been on the booking system, you know who trains at what times. Look, it was something that was a real issue through COVID is like getting in the booking, trying to book the same times.
Oh, some people want the same time slots.
Yeah. Yep. So like I know for a fact, you got Michael and Zenek in the morning. They've been rock solid. They've barely missed days throughout the whole time.
So they've been hugging that 5:30 a.m. spot.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it wasn't very competitive.
I was just going to say, who wants to train 5:30?
I was going to say 5:30 outside, dark. Like there wasn't too much competition for that time.
The bromance lived strong during lockdown for those two. Yeah.
Soph and Nat in the afternoons, they've been like super consistent. See them. Gabby and Mia have been really consistent.
Oh, awesome.
Larry and Emanuela, super consistent. I feel bad if I miss people.
Well, it's hard to know, right? Like I wouldn't have a clue. I don't know. People go and look at what other people's times to train, like when they're training. Oh, I guess unless they're trying to train at the same time.
Something I will give a few people a shout out for. We've had members that joined the week we got locked down. And
New members.
Oh,
I have seen actually a couple of new faces back there.
Yeah, so they've trained for 3 months and they've never been inside.
And they've never met a whole class.
They've only ever met one other person. It's actually quite funny. We sit inside and we hear the roll door, and the small talk that happens in this driveway is hilarious to listen to sometimes because they just they're about to do a session with someone they've never met before.
Yeah.
So and you haven't got that group atmosphere or us as coaches like introducing everyone. And so it's been quite funny to listen to. But yeah, shout out to those guys. They've never been inside. They've trained with us for 3 months. Like I've touched base with a lot of them. So it's
You've trained in the shitty backyard, and now you're going into the awesome gym.
Yeah, they love it. They're like, hey,
good.
This is so good. It's so fun. These workouts are so hard. And I'm like, oh, wait till you get inside. It's so fun in there.
Yeah, I mean, I should say, I mean jokingly that it's been a shitty backyard. I've heard other gyms that have had no options during lockdown, so their members have not done any training, and we're super lucky having a car park and being able to train back there and having like an organized booking system. I've also heard of other gyms charging extra on top of the membership to book a spot in their car park. So obviously we're not doing that. You just continue being a member. Like it's been out of we've been very lucky, very, very, very lucky. Really.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that as well. And I suppose this is a good opportunity, for me to thank everyone that has stuck with us as well, because at the start of this, it was so uncertain. If we think back, it feels like forever ago now, but it was 2-week lockdown, and then they extended it by 2 weeks, and everyone was so patient with us, and the rule changes. So we've only ever let 2 people train out the back, and there was, if you drove around, you could see other gyms or on social media, you could see them having, 10,
4 people,
12,
6 people, 8 people,
fucking
yeah.
16 people. And we sort of wanted to do the right thing, I suppose. Like what we thought was the right thing to do was like really stick to the rules as they're written, not try to seep into that grey area.
Yeah.
And I think everyone appreciated that as well. So thank you everyone for being so patient with us, and thank you for sticking with us as well, because like if you didn't, there wouldn't be a gym to come back to either. So
yeah, this has been a long one.
yeah, this is by far the hardest one that we've been through. And I imagine a lot of people, but thank you everyone that stuck with us, like, to allow us to open up again. Thank you for being so patient with the decisions that we made of like really sticking with 2 people, and then once it went to 5 vaccinated outside, we really didn't want to have to say to our unvaccinated people, or if they haven't had their second dose yet, look, you can't train now. So we chose to go to the 2 groups of 2 people out the back, which means we could continue to offer the service to unvaccinated 1 dose or vaccinated people, which I think everyone appreciated. And then we had 1 less person out the back. We could have had 5, but we chose to have the 2 groups of 2, so we had 1 less. But I think for the greater good, it was the right thing to do.
It's better trying to treat everyone as equal as possible and respect everyone's decision, right?
Yeah, and it's something that we didn't make those choices sort of ad hoc or lightheartedly. Like we tried to sit down and think this through as much as we can, and we've always had a space here where there's been no separation between sex, male, female, social status, race, religion, wealth, like in here, it's always been, I suppose, the equalizer. We've got grandparents that are really good friends with the 20-year-old party animals, and we've got, the CEOs that do you know what I mean, that come in, and it's an equalizer here, and we didn't want to lose that, and I really hope, and we're going to put in as much effort as we can to never lose that. So the decisions that we made, they were, I suppose, we were trying to look after everyone, and we'll continue to try to look after everyone, because it means everything to us that everyone is happy. So it's something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was our values before this, and we're not going to allow this to change our values with that as well. We want everyone to feel accepted, and so.
And it was great that you guys had the foresight so early to get the rig out the back. That made a big difference for everyone. People were missing doing their crazy pull-ups or squatting off the rack and stuff like that. But I think a question that everyone's asking is, who installed that rig back there?
Okay, I gotta get it out. So this is what happened. It was. I don't want to throw my dad under the bus, because.
But you already did.
But I'm going to. So we were sitting out the back, and it was like we had to get it up because we're open 7 days, and the last booking's on a Sunday afternoon. Dad works Monday to Friday, and it was going dark, so we had to get it up Sunday afternoon. We weren't ready to put it up. Like we actually blew up one of Dad's drills. Sorry.
Oh, yep.
Because,
just exploded.
Yeah, like out the back, that concrete, because this building is so old. That concrete's the hardest concrete in the world.
Hard.
So trying to put those dynabolts in, we blew the drill up. Everything on the floor is out of level. So like the floor, Jameen, is all over the place. So
there's not a straight line back there.
No. So the flattest spot that we could actually get the rig, and it's still by no means flat, is where it is at the moment, which is like 10 degrees out of plumb with a roof. But if we had it straight with a roof, the rig would have been swaying back and forth. We didn't have anything to like spacers or packers or whatever they are to prop the rig up.
Yeah.
It was an absolute shit fight. We didn't put that out, but Dad and I were laughing because there was a shadow that the sun was casting, and it was between the 2 posts. And we put the rig on the 2 posts, because we built the whole rig and then we moved it.
Yeah.
Which was a nightmare. We moved it into 50 different spots trying to figure out.
While it was connected to each piece. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. So when it was,
God.
And then we settled on this one spot, and like I said, it was 10 degree out. And we thought, you know what? Fuck it. Who's going to notice? Like...
That was everyone.
The first day, I think we stupidly on our behalf, we programmed bench press, and he's laid down and he saw the bar and the roof, and it was the photo off. Straight on there. And then Chris Wyatt, the little bastard as well, came back from university.
Awesome.
And then he put it up there as well. So look, it was Dad and I's decision, but the rig ended up in the best spot possible. it just so happened that it was 10-degree out over the roof, so it looks like an absolute nightmare, but hilarious. Like, we were laughing behind the scenes at that for days.
So funny.
And I did tell everyone that it was Sammy Pole now. So I think Sammy said something. I didn't want to throw my dad under the bus, and Sam said something, so I just went, you know what? Custom Constructions did it. So
he can put that on his website.
Yeah, to clear his name, Sam Pole now did not put it up. It was me and Dad, which means dad. So yeah.
Nah,
but I'm glad you asked that. We can get that out in the open now.
Yeah, well, it's a fitting rig for the training yard, I think. Anyway, it makes you feel a little bit more ghetto.
Yeah.
And hopefully this wasn't just me, but holy cow, weights are heavy back there.
Oh, man.
Everything is so heavy.
Weights are heavier at home and even heavier in the yard.
I think we did. What was the first day? I think this was the first time I did back squats there off the rig. I think I went to 185, which is like, semi-light for me, especially from my numbers back in there. I was like, oh, this is terrible. I took some off. I don't think it's because everything is uneven and it's just like...
It's just awkward out there,
so awkward,
everything's awkward. The floor's a bit like gritty and slippery. And if you're training in the afternoon from 2 to 4 o'clock... there's no roof. The roof doesn't exist because that sun comes in. It's straight in there, like you can't see the screens.
I'm pretty sure I built some tougher character back there, though. I might have gotten a bit more manly from training there.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Maybe. I doubt that.
Can't wait to come back into this clean floor.
I know. Yeah. Someone said the other day, like, I can't wait to do a burpee on the mat, like on the rubber floor, you know?
Yeah, we did burpee box jumps back in the yard the other day. Actually, it was pretty funny. We did burpee box jumps back in the yard, box jumps overs, and whoever's done it before me had put the two small mats up against each other, lengthwise, and then the box in the middle, but the box was kind of semi on top of the mats, so the box was all jiggly. So I started doing them, and I was like, who set this up? This is such a bad idea. And then halfway through it, I had enough of it and kind of put them apart. But then the wind came through, and the mats went. I was like, oh, yeah, that's why they put the box on top of the mats, because they just flew all over the place. Just shit like that. It's just pretty funny.
Look, I would never say it's the best setup in the world, but we did our best out there.
Oh, no, but it's good.
Props to everyone that stayed consistent with their training out there, because it definitely gave you a reason not to train. Like it definitely put that extra barrier up that it's cold or it was windy or it was too hot,
too sunny. And
so like props to everyone that kept training through there. Very, very well done.
But I like having had that experience as well, though, because you appreciate it even more when you come back in. And I mean, you see weightlifters, like people that try out for, like, try to make it to the Olympics or whatever, and they train in Africa and have freaking terrible equipment, like trying to, get good at a world level, snatch and clean and jerk on, like,
and they're on
sand
3
or whatever.
separate, like, wooden planks. They are incredible videos.
Like that's
exactly
got nothing to
what the
about.
yard was like.
Character building. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll finish up with a quick little explanation, because a lot of people haven't even seen it. What's happened inside the gym?
Yeah, so initially, we've made a few changes, actually. So people might have not even seen the front of the gym. We got rid of the dirt, which is nice. Thanks to Buster, we put all the what do you call them? Gravel? Yeah. I think it's gravel. Gravel out the front.
Buster's going to kill us for this.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Buster.
There's some small pebbles out for the front that Buster put down.
Loose concrete. And then we got rid of the offices, and we tried to make the front of the gym a little bit more of a usable space now. So we're actually going to have a little bit more room for the FSC stuff, because our FSC program was getting so popular. But with all the single leg all the lunges and like the unilateral work that we did with the benches and stuff like that. So we're actually going to be doing that up the front of the gym now.
Matt Martin's got some more space.
Yeah,
I know. Huge dude.
I know. We're thinking of soundproofing a spot for Matt Martin. We haven't had a single complaint through the entire of lockdown of noise outside. We've had that music play from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. every night. I've had one complaint from a neighbor, and it was from Matt Martin.
And he lives a few streets up at least.
It was actually Matt's friends with him, so it was jokingly. But the next door neighbours come in and said, we don't mind anything. The half an hour that Matt Martin shows up, they said it's all we can hear. So funny.
Cool.
But yeah, so we've got a little bit more usable space up the front of the gym now. We got rid of the offices. Yeah, so
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah,
It's
it does.
way more space.
It
It
definitely
actually looks way bigger.
Yeah, it definitely is going to make a difference. We gained an extra 2 windows as well because they used to obviously only open into the office.
Yeah.
So now, like, we had them. We painted the gym as well, so we gave it everything a bit of a touch up. But
More
with the
daylight coming through the front.
yeah, exactly. So we can actually open all these windows up now, plus the roller doors, plus the front door. So like, we're gonna have so much more
Good
airflow
airflow,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are the
But,
birds coming back?
So we locked because we
Well,
didn't have
we've
to
been in
open
lockdown. The
yeah.
birds must be.
Yeah, so
lost.
they weren't allowed inside either. We actually covered it up, and we didn't have to open the roller doors for 3 months. It's sort of sad, but like maybe we've broken the 30-year trend of them coming back and nesting because they're not back.
Yeah.
So we've gone through their nesting period now, and they couldn't get in because we blocked off all the roller doors and we didn't open any of the doors. So it might be it for the birds.
Dang. I'm sure they'll find somewhere else.
I'm hoping they find somewhere else.
They're resourceful birds, I've heard.
Yeah, it's just not here. As long as they're not here, I don't mind.
Alrighty, guys. Have fun going back into the gym. Enjoy. Appreciate it while you can.
Look forward
Hopefully
to seeing.
this one's going to stay
This is the last
inside
one,
for
surely.
a long, long time,
Yeah.
we're hoping. All right, guys.
Look forward to seeing you all. Goodbye.
See ya. To watch more videos like this, you can click the next one right up here. And if you want to subscribe, click the link down here.